Welcome back to my huge channel, everybody. Today we have another amazing topic. Have you figured that something has changed lately in some fashion terminology? Something slightly shifted. It's not new, it's literally not something new, it's something that we know, and it's a bit scary, the direction that we're going to, and you might probably know it from the title. It's not even the fact that we see next to every favorite avant-garde brand that we have that we always need to have the launch year, preferably between 1995 and 2005, because that's like the cool archive years. The other years are also years, but those 10 years are the most preferred archive years. This is pretty much the Armageddon for every real archive collector who probably started like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 25 years ago. And now it's pretty abusive what is happening with archive fashion right now. I think archive fashion is being abused for a different purpose currently, and that's our video's topic today. As a person who has a thing for archive fashion, and I wouldn't consider myself an archivist because I never shopped solely with the purpose to archive something. I always want to wear it as well, so I think that's a bit differentiating. And the brands that I searched for were like trivial brands like Prada pieces. And you know, there are differences, there are different eras of old Prada, old Prada, and current Prada, which already starts probably in 2007. That's current, guys. Now, when we think about archival brands, it's usually different names. Prada is also among these, but it's more avant-garde, dark, military and utilitarian vibes that we had end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s. So the usual names we have in terms of archive collection are definitely the Japanese avant-garde as we know them, like Rei Kawakubo's Comme des Garçons, Jun Takahashi's Undercover, Yohji Yamamoto, all of this, but also Carol Christian Paul, of course, Margiela, Raf Simons, Dior era, Hedi Slimane is also very popular, and of course some old Prada, Galliano, some Jean-Paul Gaultier. It's still very specific designers and sometimes even very specific collections. Like it goes down to very specific fall-winter 1997 that is relevant. It comes up to even very specific products that have a very certain value on the market. This is usually the range that the typical archive collectors were collecting. And actually not much has changed, but the perception of what an archive collector is nowadays has slightly changed. What these brands have kind of in common is that they're all based on some sort of intellectualism. So it's never like just fashion. Even though the designers like to say, I'm not that deep, I just create fashion. That's what Rei Kawakubo says, that's what Micho Prada says. That's what a lot of designers say, in my opinion, to manage the extreme weight of deepness that they actually reflect with their fashion. And I think they kind of cannot handle it and just say, yeah, it's just clothes, it's just products, guys. I don't even take it that personal. You do, guys, but it's okay. I think it's even a nice way and be humble about it to say it's just products, because at the very end of the day, it is just products. So, but first of all, of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to subscribe to my Patreon, where I have another video live today, which is also a bit about archive fashion. So if you care about my personal wardrobe, which you of course do, you might want to join my Patreon as well, which is the provider of my YouTube channel here as well. So that would be amazing if you show your support there, if you like what I do. And don't forget, don't forget, of course, to join the Discord server as well. We have so many people from all over the world, all kinds of aesthetics. It's thriving and so beautiful. I think it's the most beautiful butter field of little rabbits talking about fashion, archive, current, everything beautiful, and the most non-toxic place on earth, which I love so much. So let's keep going. You know, when your friend is telling you they're going into a vintage store, and you know they have vintage stores and they're archive. What is the difference between a vintage store and an archive store, guys? Can you tell me? I tell you what it is. A vintage store is being more likely to be considered like a thrift store. So it means there are no brand, sometimes even old fast fashion items that are being sold and that kind of don't have any influential impact on the fashion world or anything, or sometimes it's just some vintage Chanel. I think the Chanel girlies like to call Chanel and MS vintage. They don't call it archive MS, except for it's Margiela. And the same goes for if you find Levi's pants and they're from Levi's, they're in a thrift store and you say it's vintage. But then your friend comes and they're like, oh my God, Levi's, I mean, you don't just wear Levi's, right? it's a Junya Watanabe it's a Junya Watanabe collaboration, right? So there are these two kind of people. There are the vintage shoppers, that are the cute normal people that have a normal life, you know, that spend their money on normal things as they're supposed to. And then there are people that say they can buy archive because something is super valuable to them, and they definitely didn't buy something overpriced, and it will for sure rise in value. So you're either the vintage person or the archive person. But no, to be honest, the archival shopping or like the archive owning is not only like worshipping certain pieces and items, it's really valuing them. It's valuing them so much that you probably sometimes don't even dare to wear them. And it's not even connected to a price point or anything. And that's what made archive fashion so interesting at the beginning. But the beauty of these archive pieces is just how much of an influence they had on us back then and what kind of impact these pieces actually have on us now. So all these pieces, from Raf Simons and Helmut Lang's famous parkas to Jean-Paul Gaultier's psychedelic shirts to Issey Miyake's parachute bomber from 1996, I believe, all these pieces have formed and influenced current fashion so much that it's kind of based on these pieces. And that's the beauty of archive fashion, because the fact that we have everything archived somewhere and descripted, and we have it in magazines and even digitalized, is a beautiful way to show the value you give to those people. And that's the main purpose of archiving clothes. And that's beautiful. So for archive fashion collectors, it was amazing back in the days. And you know what? I will structure this video in 3 different time frames, starting with the Stone Age, and that was early archive collecting. And then we have the Bronze Age, and then we have the Iron Age. That will be interesting. So in the Stone Age, you know, you had eBay, you had like 2 hours of internet connection at home until your mom told you to get out of the internet so she can have a phone call. You were probably 12. You knew some brands that were interesting, and you were probably buying stuff. You know what I was searching for on eBay when I was 12? Dolce & Gabbana. Yeah, but honestly, I know you're all wearing vintage Dolce now. But I mean, of course, I had no clue of avant-garde fashion when I was 12, but what I was seeing was still runway shows, and I was insanely impacted by it, and still everything was way too expensive, but I still managed to get stuff off eBay, which was amazing. I mean, back then, I didn't know of Yahoo Japan or those auction sites where you can still could get something. Sorry, I forget, the times have passed. You could get stuff for like 10% of what even back then something in retail stores would have costed. So the number one reason of also archive fashion, despite the passion, of course, for the fashion, because that's the main driver, is also you could technically afford it if you found something and digged for it. And since not a lot of people were digging and it was a very niche hobby, you could find something. You could get something and even order it from Japan, and even in 2006 or 7. And that was amazing. So it was a very niche and deeply digging hobby. You were actually something like a fashion mole. So coming to the actual topic of this video, because I only made this video not to tell you about how romantic our past times were, but because something has shifted in fashion, and archive fashion is not what it used to be anymore. It's something else, and you're all aware of it, and we need to speak it out. So one question. What has changed? Why do we perceive it differently now when somebody speaks about archive fashion? And second question, why is it so fucking annoying? It's really one of the most annoying things of the current zeitgeist of fashion, talking about archive fashion pieces. And I'm gonna tell you why. I think the main reason why and I say we because I assume we all share the same opinion. The main reason why we all find it a bit annoying is that it also has some sort of pretentiousness about it. It's pretty pretentious. Why are you dropping names at a party about your clothes? You know, you would make fun about it if it would be brands like, I don't know, Still Supreme or something. I mean, because you can say Carol Christian Paul is any better. It's not better. Like name dropping from Loro Piana to Hermes to Supreme to Yohji, everything is the same, you know? Like it's still bragging about stuff that makes me question your sincerity with your connection to fashion. Because it doesn't seem like you're connected to the fashion as much as you are to the connection of the image of said fashion. I mean, I love clothes and I love people that love clothes. But if you buy clothes to buy yourself a niche personality because you don't have a personality and you think it will get you closer to niche people with a personality, it doesn't really work. And you know what? This is somehow how the hypebeast trend started, because actually there's not so much of a big difference between the hypebeast kids and the I'm now an archive collector kids. Yeah, it's pretty similar, and I would not like to say that, but it's kind of the same. Why do we have people like this now around us? Why do we have suddenly, from cute little niche archive shoppers in Stone Age, in the Bronze Age, now people that start dressing like that on parties and don't stop talking about it? And it's not the community building factor that I like about the niche fashion community. It's not about that. It's name dropping. So as per usual, the typical reason why everything we love is being destroyed is popular culture. And this didn't exist before. So we just had like our stockists globally over the world. So we could buy on a Japanese website maybe a pair of Rick Owens sneakers that are not being produced anymore. And now we can go on an Instagram page, on a curated Instagram page, and buy these products without any struggle. You don't have to go to Yahoo. You don't have to, try to translate any words, anything. They're curated people on Instagram, and you know what? En masse. They're everywhere. And everybody has like 30 pieces, and it's amazing pieces, and it's very rare to find pieces. But the digging doesn't exist anymore. There's no digging. You have proper tools now, In Stone Age, you needed to fight for your life. You needed to fight to get something. And now, in the Bronze Age, it's just way much easier. You're being served. You can select. You choose. You just need to pay. And prices have also increased because you pay for this service of this Instagram shop. Is it something bad to have more visibility for these items that should have way more attention? Of course not. I mean, it's very sad that we just produce so much fashion every season from so many designers in so many countries, and we just forget about everything. And there's some iconized pieces and that's it. Actually, it's something amazing to have digitalized fashion, so we never forget. So we know what exists and we have access to it. So why should we buy new if we can buy something that is equally iconic to us personally, and we can own something perfect and we don't have to dig? Like, life doesn't always have to be a pain to be beautiful. But you know what happens if you take the pain away and you just have happiness? You forget what happiness is. So since we were not hunting pieces anymore and not even collecting berries, we kind of started to eat fast food with fashion. Every second Instagram store can get you a psychedelic Galliano shirt. The newspaper print that is so rare, I see it like 5 times a day available. But this whole industry is also kind of weird, and these very rare items are suddenly everywhere and easily accessible. So it's weird, but it's fast and it's quick and it's easy. But having kind of access to all of these tools and websites and people selling stuff is not only amazing for like uninformed people that were not aware of how to get any niche items anyway. It was also amazing for stylists who were like craving to have the best stuff for their celebrities that they're styling, for example. And this is where something changed even more. So some people also in popular music culture, and we know how important music is for fashion brands. Music is a bit, I really don't know how else to describe it, but a bit like a virus, because it's so easy to sing and it's so easy to spread. It's like suddenly everywhere, even if it's Spanish, if it's Italian, if it's French, no matter what. It affects everybody. It goes among languages, over countries. So even nowadays, we see that a lot of fashion shows, I think almost every fashion show I saw, there was a live band or live music, and the collaborations with music artists are getting more and more as well, and they even have them as brand ambassadors. Before that was somebody touched someone's ref. When A$AP Rocky did this huge song, I don't know, mentioning like 21 times the name Raf Simons, he turned into, he was a style icon already, but he kind of catapulted Raf Simons into a category he was never seen before. He was, even if he was at Jill Zander and at Dior and his own namesake brand, which already stood like for some edginess and this utilitarian youthfulness, edginess of revolt and revolution and anger. And suddenly it was not only about the designer having a new collection and hey, what kind of pieces are these that we're seeing? It was more like, hey, what is the celebrity wearing? And oh, by accident, it's a certain designer. It kind of shifted on how we perceived fashion. And of course, before that, even in the 50s and 60s, of course, celebrities were influential for spreading the name of designers. But in popular culture, it turned into something that people could actually buy in excess. It was not like haute couture, Cristobal Balenciaga or Dior in the 50s or 60s that nobody could buy or probably didn't even want to buy. Now we are talking about streetwear and street fashion that is actually made for the masses and the people. And suddenly people could buy into it. And with all this hype, a huge war on like popular designer items started. So we're ending the Bronze Stage. We had the Stone Age, where we just figured out how we can even shop online and search for stuff online in Japanese or on eBay for weird things without writing autumn, winter, fall, seven probably, not 17. That was hard times. That was tough work. That was really hard handwork back then. Then we kind of switched into popular culture and digitalization of these visuals and of products. So it was spread all over the world and everybody knew what these niche fashion items actually were. And it's not only you and your 3 friends in your village talking about these pieces and nobody knows around you what it is. That was cute times. But it's of course also nice to have people around you, more people around you that share the same niche hobby as you do. But now you cannot afford it anymore. That's Bronze Age. The one where you cannot afford the items that you used to love so much. Whoa, that's actually capitalism because it just reminded me of real estate as well. It's all kind of related to each other. But we have now the third era, the most important one, and the one that we are in currently, that is for me personally the most disturbing one. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because it's so fucking disturbing and I hate it and I wanted to stop because I cannot see it anymore, and I don't think it's nice what we're doing right now towards the designers and where this is all going. So, you know, people managers are smart. Marketing is smart. Marketing is a form of manipulating people. Sometimes based on truth, sometimes not. Sometimes just image making. It's mainly like brand image making marketing, you know, like how to sell something in a certain aspect. And that's what also like the PRs and the agents of the people do, of the celebrities. And I'm not only going to talk about celebrities, but they are the most impactful people right now that have influenced the shift of the terminology archive fashion. So these people are smart and they know how to get iconic pieces right now. I told you in our previous age, we got the chance of digitalization, so it's way easier. Even museums are more digitalized. They have archives, you can book an appointment. You know, the Met itself is a huge archive, probably one of the biggest in the world, but even in Japan, like, it's very easy. Everybody has a private Instagram account, everybody has a business Instagram account, and everybody keeps talking about what they're doing, including me, including business owners of archive fashion. So if we just look at the latest red carpets, I'm not even going far back, okay? We know the famous Marilyn Monroe dress that Kim K destroyed. Yeah, it's super closely related, of course, to the idea of the Museum of the Met. The Met itself, which is a huge fashion archivist. But it's not even Met. Met at least is a fashion event. You know, it's for the sake of fashion. For the sake of archiving fashion, actually, you cannot go more archival than the Met. But other people promoting their movies, wanting to look cute, wearing fashion archive pieces that have no contacts to the movie, nothing. It doesn't make even sense, but it looks cute, it's nice. We have the Mugler robot from Thierry Mugler. We have Alexander McQueen suits created by him himself. We have Megan Thee Stallion in 1996, Paco Rabanne. We have Kylie Jenner in 1999, Mugler, Yves Law and Versace from 2003, which is probably almost as old as she is. You kind of buy something iconic and you want to be identified as something iconic because you are not building up something yourself. I don't say come in the row suit that doesn't say anything, or like pure minimalism and that's it. You should have something that shows personality. But come on, there's so many emerging designers that are waiting like this. And usually it's only like, honestly, not the most famous people that really dare it, or probably they even don't get dressed by the big ones. But there are people that are alive and that need to earn money and that you can support, that do amazing things still. It doesn't make much sense to me to support so much archive fashion of designers that don't exist anymore, as beautiful as their pieces are. I don't even believe that they do it for the sake of the designers. I don't think they have a personal connection to the design, especially if it's worn by people. I don't want to name out names again. So what does this all kind of mean that we're seeing everybody dressed in archive fashion currently? First of all, the main reason that is being mentioned by everybody is, of course, the fact of sustainability, which is amazing when you think about archive fashion because it's old and it's not being produced new. But you know what? I don't think if a new designer, a new young emerging amazing designer is creating a gown for the red carpet, that it's really that polluting. I don't think the fashion industry's big issue are red carpet dresses. And I know there's a big fluctuation and I know there are masses on events, but I know that a lot of them are being lended to the stylists, and I think none of them is being sold ever. So they still exist, and at the end they're probably being sold to normie people. So I don't really believe the sustainability factor. Another reason we see these archive pieces popping up, except for the fact they're hard to get. It's like wearing an archive piece is a bit like wearing a mass bag that is hard to get, you know, like, look, I have it. Could you get it? Did the museum lend it to you? They did not. But another reason is also that a lot of these pieces are being replicated. I mean, whatever it is, like Jean-Paul Gaultier is still doing their own stuff. They're like replicating. I mean, it's not a replica, of course, but like they still keep on doing the same things. Even at Margiela, we still see the same items. And things that come from the original launch time are, of course, more valuable. And people are like, hey, I'm wearing the OG, I'm wearing the very much original, the blueprint of the design. And you are guys all wearing the copies. Even if it's still an original and being produced by the same brands, despite the fact that so many brands, also other brands, are copying this design. So I understand the fact that you want the blueprint, right? You want the very much OG. That's the main reason why I wanted to shop certain items as well. But this tiny fact makes everything shift into a different direction right now. If you're searching for the OG, if you're all searching for the blueprint of everything, this is just turning into a competition. We don't have the community building factor of the archive fashion community anymore, helping each other, exchanging each other items, lending each other items, which was the beauty of this kind of back then. Now it's just a competition who has something better, older, better maintained. Do you really care about the fashion? If that's your criteria, if you're competing with others for this, it's just another way of name dropping again. So the Iron Age has turned everything into a very functional age. The archive piece has a purpose now, and it is brand image building. It is supposed to infiltrate the identity of the person wearing it and turning the person into a more niche and interesting person. I think we have this a bit also with Anya Taylor-Joy, where every piece that she's wearing is like being considered super seriously and like characterized and criticized, and I'm just like, it's just a mask. It's just a mask. It has no value at all. It's not a fashion value. And the Iron Age of fashion archive is completely being destroyed because it's being seen in a different context. And it's not the context of 2 a.m. eBay search because you love an item, because it's something romantic. It's something emotional even. Yes, I do have an emotional connection to fashion, and a lot of you guys as well. But now it just has a functional purpose, and it's pretty brand business driven. So the whole praise of owning something instead of living with items, the whole honesty and sincerity that we had because we loved items so much, is completely being destroyed. We don't even have access to these items anymore. And people that don't have a very strong character are trying to do character building with these pieces. They think the nicheness and the specialty of this item can be reflected on themselves, and they can turn into a very interesting personality. It usually does not happen because it's very easy to read people. So archive fashion, it's so sad where it's gone to. And I just wanted to talk about this topic because I think it's so important to be aware when you shop yourself for archive pieces. Because I even saw myself getting trapped, you know, like, I don't know, search for pieces I was never searching before because I thought, wow, that's super rare, I should have it. But don't own things that you're not going to wear. At the very end, if you think of being a professional collector, you can go for it, but I can tell you the market is fully full already. But despite that, if you're passionate, go for your dreams. I'm always on the side of being visionary and dreamy, and some execution needs to follow as well. But if you want to buy things, and if you care about things in old-fashioned years, if it's Yohji or Ray or Prada or whatever, try to have a personal connection to it. Only then archive fashion really has a value, and this should always be the case. And this is why I'm so mad about the current form and state we are in of archive fashion, but I cannot take it seriously anymore. I think there are ways of doing it correctly and not so correct. I think it's beautiful to see how Galliano is bringing his own archive back at Margiela. That's amazing. But then seeing who's wearing his items that don't really have an identity, it's kind of weird to me. It's weird to me how the prices have increased. It's weird to me how the market is over-polluted with these items everywhere. And it's weird to me to see people wearing things that they don't feel. And as a person of fashion, I would say, or fashion interest, I just find it disturbing. And I think you find it disturbing as well, and this needs to stop. So, of course, be sustainable, always go for secondhand whenever you can. But despite that, shop only where your heart goes and what you love. And don't try to build up an image of something you're not. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to my Patreon, please, if you find this in any form joyful, helpful, happiness bringing to your life. I would really appreciate any support. I already have a few supporters, which is amazing. My Patreon is the thing that keeps my channel running, and I don't want to be dependent on sponsorships, so that would be amazing if you find it valuable to support me. Don't forget to join the Discord chat of amazing and crazy niche real archive kids. So the kids of the Stone Age fashion archive, they are in my Discord. We're so many people, everybody has a different style, different personality. It's beautiful. I feel like it's one of the most beautiful places in the world to talk about fashion currently, and I'm not bragging, I'm just speaking the reality. Probably the most non-toxic area ever. People show their looks, people show their questions, material questions, I don't know, everything. There's just place for everybody. So join to these things if you like this. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see a bit more of my personal style. I will have a video on Patreon as well today about my personal little Prada collection. So if you did like this topic, you might like to watch this video as well. It's like my favorite items, and I only buy items that I truly wear. And they're not even so hard to get because it's not like super rare. I have certain eras of Prada that I like the most. And that's about it, guys. So see you to the next one.